Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. It was planned that the Billy Boy Hinman a theory of free pass emails and related papers, such as early versions of the theory of free pass speech, would be made public on June 6 of this year, according to the Mad on the Moon Family Dan channel. Most of you undoubtedly know by now that the SEC and Ripple came to the consensus that delaying the date by a week, to June 13, was the best option. They made a joint application requesting that this be the case. I was also a little taken aback by the fact that Ripple agreed to it. I can't say that I blame him for being quiet about the SEC. It came as a bit of a surprise to find that it wasn't only the SEC advocating for it, unless some unknown force truly believed that they required the additional time. If that's the case, then go ahead. There's surely a strategic theory we're missing that explains this. Thus, I'll agree to it. However, I believe that the majority of us are operating under the assumption that the Judge Torres from Detroit will make a final decision in the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit regardless of the brief setback of a week. I went so far as to I'm not a lawyer, and that's a given, I'm simply offering my 2 cents. I responded, well, I guess it's certainly possible. A final decision could be made by her. As a layperson without a legal education, I find myself wondering why the judge in the SEC versus Ripple case hasn't issued a summary judgment ruling yet, given that she has already seen the damn Hinman docs. However, it appears that this may not be the case structurally. The SEC versus Ripple, that's the headline in the nascent crypto industry. Hogan claims that the Judge Torres will hold off on passing judgment until he sees Hinman's docs. And so it ends up being the position of attorney Jeremy Hogan that it's actually, quote, very, very likely, into quote, that we're not going to see a ruling until after this, which means if that supposition is correct, and I trust him, if that ends up being correct, and that's what's more likely than the fact that this case was pushed back an extra week, Vic may very well end up causing an actual delay, albeit a short one, in the final ruling of the case. As for me, I'm sick and tired of the wait for the harm. When it comes to my cryptocurrency holdings, I am generally patient. But, guys, the stupid-ass litigation has been going on for about 2.5 years now. Let's just get to the finish of this, but first let me fill you in on the details. I should probably make it obvious that I have zero backup, either financial or legal. Please do not take anything I say as professional advice. Moreover, you should not make any financial decisions based on what I say. I'm just a fan who occasionally posts videos to YouTube discussing random crypto-related things for kicks. Judge Annalisa Torres' recent judgment on the SEC and Ripple's motion to seal summary judgment materials and related exhibits, including William Hinman's documents, has sparked fresh controversy in the XRP community, as you can see in the section below. After reviewing the redacted versions of the documents, Judge Torres may issue a summary judgment ruling in the SEC versus Ripple lawsuit, as is speculated by many XRP supporters. And now we should take a moment to note the omissions. The papers, emails, drafts, etc. we get from Hinman will, in fact, be redacted. However, only in a very specific sense. Judge Torres has outlined extremely precise redactions. The SEC and Ripple must collaborate to achieve this goal within the limited scope of Judge Torres' ruling, which means that the public will be privy to nearly all of the action in the market despite widespread misapprehensions about the nature of the market. The SEC has been trying to withhold information that is materially relevant to the types of discussions that took place here, but as I've mentioned in recent videos, we should be seeing most of it. Okay, excellent to know. And I think many of us, in all candor, were wondering, well, why couldn't we just have a ruling before this? And while we still could, technically, that doesn't seem to be the most likely outcome, at least not according to attorney Hogan, whose opinion this piece contains a. While some doubt the final decision will be made until the redacted summary judgment materials are made public, others are not so sure and believe it might come at any time. As the argument continues, XRP supporters like Jeremy Hogan, John Deaton, and Fred Rispoli have taken to Twitter to ask for the legal experts' thoughts on the matter. Tim France tweeted at these pro-XRP attorneys yesterday, asking for their thoughts on whether or not the judge's sealing order will affect when she issues a summary judgment ruling. The screen now displays a tweet. Tim's letter stated he was merely inquisitive and suggested they consult with lawyers. Is it feasible for Judge Torres to issue her summary judgment ruling before the redacted materials are made public, or does she have to wait until then? That's a great question, and I'm delighted Tim asked it. And I've been wondering what some of the local lawyers have been pondering. Here, then, is the solution. In answer to your inquiry, to make a ruling in the Ripple action, Judge Torres does not need to wait for the parties to produce public redacted versions of the summary judgment filings and related evidence, according to attorney Hogan. It's not impossible, then. That's what I was hoping to hear, and now we can move on to the more pressing issue of whether or not she will continue without being told to wait. Hogan's tag teammate partner at Hogan & Hogan, Hogan, pointed out that the judge often waits for the parties to file their paperwork, awaiting her ultimate decision. After June 13, 2023, when SEC and Ripple are due to publish public redacted copies of the materials, the notable lawyer who has closely filed the complaint said he will stop holding his breath. You're looking at Hogan's statement as an attorney right now. He just told her that she was not required to wait. But it's highly probable that she will. After June 13, I won't be holding my breath. If I had to guess, and I don't believe I'm going out on a limb here, I'd say that Judge Torres has already made up her mind. So, legally speaking, attorney Hogan was on the money. I have no reason to doubt him, so it looks like we'll have to wait a few more weeks. But she must realize that it won't make a real difference, right? Is there seriously someone who believes that? I hadn't thought about whether or not Ripple would be making any further SEC filings in light of this development until Ripple employee Neil Hardner brought it up. Neil Hardner, an employee at Ripple, is visible, who works on on-demand liquidity and who describes himself as a senior staff software engineer at Ripple, the organization where he works. In an email to attorney Jeremy Hogan, he responded, I would imagine she planned ahead and prioritized the sealing decision to leave enough time for the parties to respond before she expects to release her summary judgment decision. If that's the case, then this Hardner right here causes a ripple effect, which is something I hadn't thought of before seeing it here in front of Neil. Ripple. Not that the SEC has any reason to break the law. Honestly, what else could be said? Is the SEC going to file something only to make it look like these Hinman-related documents aren't as horrible and as an evil as they appear on the surface? Because that is exactly how they will appear in the end. If Brad Garlinghouse is to be believed, the contents of this will, indeed, shock us when they are finally revealed. Where does it leave us if we have to wait for that? Is it going to take a week longer after that? That means we can expect it sometime after June 20th. We've already put on weight, and it'll be at least another month before the SEC versus Ripple case ever gets started. And again, I understand that her ultimate judgment on this matter may be released later today. But what would be acceptable procedure, and will she adhere to what is acceptable procedure? If that's the case, then it sounds like we're looking at the earliest, nearly another month. In any case, I certainly hope not. What I want more than anything is for this whole ordeal to end. I'd prefer if that were over here. However, I still think June 13th is a significant day, as I said in a video the other day. Whether good or bad, you know the Fed will soon release some information. But let's say that something excellent happens on that day. If the market reacts favorably to the news that the SEC and Ripple would release redacted versions of the Hinman documents on that day, it will be a good sign. What would that imply, in your opinion? For the simple reason that I don't and won't ever speculate on market movements. And I have no idea if the price will rise or fall. But if the news is taken positively, I don't see why the price of XRP wouldn't rise on that day. To add fuel to the fire, I believe that if we receive encouraging data from the Fed, we'll have the perfect storm. So, we'll have to wait and see. The recent judicial rulings we've seen have had global impacts on the price of XRP, which is another reason it's ridiculous to imagine that maybe that might happen. Just consider this for a second. Because it's ridiculous, but I have it anyhow. When Judge Torres makes her rulings public. That's a humorous way to put it, but it's true, my wealth has grown as a result. Since I have X amount of XRP, any increase therein is, to be frank, a windfall. I won't disclose exactly how much, but it's a lot of money to me. As a result of her judgment about the experts' recommendations in early March, the financial standing of the Moon families involved increased significantly. Moving Saadet's fortune is the only one that has grown. Well done. Significantly a lot. To put it simply, I approve. On June 13th, is she going to increase my wealth? And if so, does that make XRP a Judge Torres security? I think it's safe to say that the answer is yes. Since I'm not a certified financial planner, you shouldn't use my advice to make any investments or trades. Please like and subscribe my channel. See you later, bye.